What's going on, faves? It's your fave, Miss Renee. And you guys, I am back at it again with another good food for your soul video coming up right now. All right, family. Welcome to Fave Miss Renee. Thank you for coming by. If you are a new subscriber, if you are a returning viewer, whatever the case is, child, thank you so much. You are indeed welcomed in this space. And please do not be a stranger. The only way to make sure that you're not, I'm just saying, you got to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, honey. You got to go ahead and smash it in one good time for the one time. And make sure that we stay connected, okay? So please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on the bell notifications. And then that way, every time that I upload a video, you'll be the first to see it. And then we'll always stay locked tight, all right? Thank you so very much for that. Now, here on the Fave Miss Renee channel, if you are new here, we do a lot of things, okay? I love to vlog. I love from my faves to meet my family. We do a lot of interactive things, but the one thing that I treasure the most is good food for your soul. And good food for your soul is not a time that we're literally eating, not food. No, we're eating, but we're taking in nourishments for our soul. It's a conversation that I like to have with my viewers, my faves, and that conversation is based on love, life, relationships, mindfulness, and everything that's good for your soul. So, we do a lot of eating, just not with a plate and a fork. Okay? So, I hope this is something you're interested in. Make sure you stick around. Oh, baby, I cooked up something real good for us tonight. I can't wait for you to sample. Okay, family, so tonight's conversation, it's a delicate conversation, to be honest. It's something that I've lived through most of, if not all of my life. But it's something that I've also gained so much knowledge and wisdom from. And you know what? If you learn something, whatever you go through in this life, your testimony only becomes a testimony once you decide to share. If you keep all of it bottled up and locked up and you don't want to tell anyone, that's defeating the entire purpose of your test. So your test is your testimony. And in order for you to have a testimony, oh, sweetheart, you have to be tested. So, this is a testimony, but it's also a test that I passed with flying colors, and I'm excited to share that with you tonight. So, the topic for tonight is mental illness. Yes, it's a delicate conversation, and it's not that I had mental illness. But I was the child of a mother that does. So, if you can relate to that, if you know someone that can relate to this, make sure that you share this video with them. It's my test, but it's also my testimony. You guys, and I am so thankful to be sitting here able to share it right now with you. Okay, family. Now, before we get started into this very intense, delicate, and transparent video, the objective is not for me to be in tears, okay? I do not want to be in tears. However, I am definitely coming from a space deep within my soul, because yet I've said this is part of my childhood, okay? And I've done a lot of work on me, on Fave, and I've had such an amazing ride in discovery and rediscover. I've done so much work. So it's pretty cool to be able to share this. Now let me tell you, if you are new here to the channel, then you do not know anything really about me. And let me just give you a little bit of background, because I work intensively in my city, okay? I have been an entrepreneur in the city of Louisville, Kentucky for 27 years, some 26, 27 years. I have worked with women and I have worked with young people. I have been a mentor for the past 17 years, and it has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And so, with mentoring and life coaching and working with teenagers and working with young adults and married couples and the whole nine, you guys, it has been a ride. But it also allows me to remember when things weren't so good in my own life and how I've been able to overcome a lot of it. And let me tell you, it's been a lot. So, we're not going to get into everything in one video, okay? But we are going to talk about one thing that is very, very certain, and something that a lot of people don't want to look at, and that's their mental wellness, okay? Their mental and emotional well-being is so very important. Not only is it very important, but it is very crucial. It's of the utmost importance if you have young people living in the home with parents that are not mentally well. It is very important that somebody get help. So, tonight's conversation is all about living with mentally ill parents. Also, family, keep in mind that I am 55 years old. So, when I was a child, people didn't go probing and meddling in other people's families and all of the affairs that go on within that family. You know, it was very strict, strong rules. What goes on in my house stays in my house. And that's whatever it is. So that's why it's important that in now this year 2023, that we're not keeping those type of secrets. Because what's going on in somebody's house could be very, very dangerous for the young people living there. So somebody's got to get help. And now there's a right and a wrong way to do that. There's a right and a wrong way to go about that. But to ignore it is not okay. You know, when I was a kid, people just turned a blind eye. Even though people knew what was going on, it just wasn't the thing to do back in those days. So it was very unfortunate for me, because I didn't know then what all was going on, but I knew it wasn't right. So let's go on ahead and get into this video. There's a whole lot of layers. We're not going to uncover them all tonight, but we're going to at least put a dent in it. Okay? So, my mother is only technically 14 years older than I am. Okay? And so when I was born, 3 days after my birth, she turned 15. Right? So now just imagine, it's 2023 and people still have a hard time addressing and dealing with their mental health. So you can imagine back in the 60s, child, if you was walking and wasn't bleeding, wasn't nothing wrong with you. If anything, honey, quit acting crazy and go in there and get them dishes. Come on. You know what I'm saying. It has always been overlooked. But back then, it really was not addressed. And so my mom learned how to self-medicate, which is what a lot of people, even in today's time, do. She learned how to cope by using street drugs, which is not the same. So, my life with my mother, from the time I was 7, because I didn't live with my mother until I was 7, but once I went to live with my mother, what I knew from baby to 7 was flipped completely upside down. Now, let me also say that because I've worked so intensely on understanding my mom, and in my lifetime trying to work through what was really going on, I have a lot of empathy for her now. A lot. And what I can also say is that my mom truly didn't know what was going on with her. So there's been a time, like in the last maybe 5 years or so, maybe way less than that, maybe the last 2 or 3 years. And I asked my mom, I said, Mama, do you realize had you received the medical help that you needed a long time ago, our lives would have been so differently? And I can tell you, she cried. That resonated deep within her soul as well. And she cried. And so what I've had to do on my journey of self-healing, as I discovered and allowed God to heal me from the inside out, I had to have compassion for my mom. And I had to understand where some of the mess actually came from. It truly wasn't her. My mother has never really operated with a sound, solid mental health. She's never done it. My mother has always been emotionally and mentally unstable. And so I remember my earlier years when I was a teenage girl. I used to feel my mother just didn't like me. I didn't know why. At that time, I wasn't mature enough to even see past why she just didn't spend any time with me at all. There were days that my mother would sit in her room with the door shut. Days. And it was me and my little brother knocking on the door every 15, 20 minutes because we needed something or we needed to ask something. And she would talk to us through the door. There were days when my mother didn't bother preparing a meal or cooking us anything to eat. There were days when there wasn't anything to eat in the house. You know, when someone is truly suffering from mental illness, they forget to check on their loved ones because they're not well. They forget to do their day-to-day. They forget to make sure that their children are well, safe, that their children have eaten, that their children have all their basic needs. They forget, you guys. Now, our community, again, you got people that don't really know yet what mental health is or emotional stability is. So there were people around. But as I said, if you're not bleeding or laying out on the floor somewhere, people didn't really know that you were really that sick. And so a lot of things happened. And it is just what it is. No one came to our rescue. Now, there was one time when one of my best friends knew of what was going on. And she asked her mother, could I come live with her? And her mother said, of course, Renee can come live with us. But that was it. No one ever actually came to our house to say, hey, you guys aren't living right. Hey, you guys need to do better. What are y'all having here to eat? Hey, you need to come out of that room and see what's going on with your children. No, that never happened. It just never did. And so I'm thankful because during that time, I still stayed very close to home. And I didn't wander off and get myself caught up in stuff that would even be worse and make the situation 10 times worse than what it was. I'm grateful that I stayed close to home. I'm glad and I'm grateful that God had his hand on my life. Yeah. I don't think that she was mean to me on purpose. I don't even think that she realized what was really going on with her. As sad as that is, that's real. You had to kind of know the life that my mother had lived. It was so brutal. And I believe at some point my mother went deep within herself to survive. I say that because I notice she has this survival mentality even now. To survive means just simply to stay alive. Not so much thrive, just live. And so when I think about as a child, I really believe that the reason why God has allowed me to be in the positions that I am in now is because he knew what he put in me. And that I saw things from a young girl's eye that you cannot unsee. And so I recognize it when I see it in the young people that I work with. And one thing's for certain and two things for sure. Honey, I don't turn a blind eye. No, I never do. If I see a child that needs help, I'm going to get them help. Now, does that mean calling CPS? Child Protective Services? Sometimes yes. But that's not to hurt the child. Never that. But it is also to get them help. And just because you contact CPS doesn't mean that the courts are automatically going to take the children away from their parents. A lot of times, the help has to come from a CPS call. And that help looks very different depending on the situation. So if the mother is dealing with mental illness and she's not able to take care of her children, then that's something different. But if she is able to take care of her children, that doesn't mean an automatic take the children out of her custody. But getting her the help that she needs so that she can be a mom to the children that they deserve is so life-changing. I believe the only thing that saved me, honestly, was because I didn't live with my mother until I was at the age of 7. So the formative years that I lived from 1 to 7, I wasn't in her care. So by the time I went to live with my mom, I already knew, honey, this is not right. Wasn't a lot I could do about it. Because remember, everybody had button lips and blind eyes. But I knew it was wrong. So the best thing that you can do for a young person right now, let's just say you think you know of a child going through a tough time. I encourage you to step up. Get them some help. Be a real friend. Like I said, it doesn't mean that the children have to automatically be taken into custody. Sometimes, most of the time, there's another family member that could step up long enough for mama to get her the help that she needs. And then, you guys, what a wonderful relationship she could develop with her kids. Because babies do want to be with their mamas. And most of the time, mamas want their babies. So, mental illness is real. Mental and emotional wellness is a wonderful life. But you got to even know that you need the help. So if someone offers to help you, be okay. If someone says, hey, I just noticed, are you okay? Don't get mad at them. Don't immediately shut them out. Don't tell them that they're meddling. Get out of my business. Because I promise you, if people care enough to come to you and approach you with concern, maybe there is a problem. Maybe you are going through. Maybe you are just surviving and not thriving. Just trying to live. Take the help, okay? Remember, your babies deserve the best version of you. Do it for them. More importantly, do it for you. Do it for you. You deserve to be your best self. So, we've got a lot more conversations coming. A lot more. And I hope that you guys are ready for them. I'm going to probably pop back in maybe tomorrow just to give you a little update on some of these, I feel, amazing conversations and topics that we're going to be having over the next month or so. So, in the meantime, family, keep your heads up and your eyes open. I'll see you guys on the next video. Mwah! Bye.